Imagine this. You're flying over the vast Alaskan wilderness when suddenly your radio goes silent. Your compass spins wildly and you vanish without a trace, joining the ranks of over 16,000 people who have mysteriously disappeared in what's known as the Alaska Triangle. Welcome to our channel, where today we're diving into one of America's most chilling mysteries. A place where people vanish at a rate 4 times higher than anywhere else in the United States. Stay with me until the end to discover the shocking truth behind these disappearances. The Alaska Triangle stretches from Juneau in the southeast to Utqiagvik in the north, and down to Anchorage in the south. This massive triangular area encompasses over 200,000 square miles of some of the most remote and unforgiving terrain on the planet, larger than the entire state of California. Since 1988, more than 16,000 people have vanished in this region. That's approximately 1 person every 2 days for over 3 decades. Most disturbing of all, the recovery rate for missing persons in the Alaska Triangle is significantly lower than the national average, with many cases remaining unsolved despite extensive search efforts. Despite decades of investigation, no single explanation has emerged to account for the disproportionate number of disappearances. Is it simply the harsh environment claiming unprepared visitors? Or is something more mysterious at work? What makes this region particularly isolated is not just its geographic remoteness, but also its extreme topography. The landscape is carved by over 100,000 glaciers. It's punctuated by active volcanoes and divided by raging rivers that change course with the seasons. Cell phone coverage is virtually non-existent, and weather conditions can change from clear skies to life-threatening blizzards in a matter of hours. Even GPS systems have been known to malfunction in certain areas. During winter months, temperatures can plummet to -80 degrees Fahrenheit, with wind chills making it feel even colder. Daylight becomes a precious commodity, with some areas experiencing less than 4 hours of dim light per day. This combination of factors creates an environment where even experienced outdoorsmen can quickly find themselves in life-threatening situations, cut off from any possibility of rescue. The demographics of those who disappear tell an interesting story. Experienced bush pilots with thousands of flight hours have vanished without sending distress signals. Native Alaskans, intimately familiar with the terrain, have disappeared while traveling routes their ancestors have used for generations. Military personnel, equipped with the latest survival gear and training, have stepped off established paths never to be seen again. Approximately 53% of those who go missing in the Alaska Triangle are never found, no bodies. No equipment, no explanation. It's as if they've been completely erased from existence. In many cases, areas that were thoroughly searched one day would need to be searched again the next. As though the landscape itself was shifting, search dogs have been known to become disoriented, sometimes refusing to enter certain areas altogether. Alaska's unforgiving environment plays a significant role in many disappearances. Winter temperatures regularly plunge below -40 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds exceed 100 miles per hour in mountain passes, and snowfall can accumulate at rates of several feet per day. These conditions can disorient even the most experienced outdoorsmen, obliterating trails, landmarks, and any sense of direction. The terrain itself presents equally formidable challenges. The Alaska Triangle contains thousands of crevasses, deep ice fissures that can be concealed by thin snow bridges. Dense forests limit visibility to mere feet in some areas, while the countless lakes and rivers create labyrinthine waterways that confuse navigation. Perhaps most treacherous are the seemingly solid areas of permafrost that can suddenly give way to quicksand-like bogs called muskeg, which have been known to swallow people whole. Yet many vanishings occur during periods of clear weather on well-established trails, or involve individuals with extensive wilderness experience. Some search and rescue veterans have gone on record stating that the Alaska Triangle seems to have dead zones, where electronic equipment mysteriously fails and compasses spin erratically. Is nature alone responsible for these disappearances? Perhaps the most high-profile disappearance involved Congressman Hale Boggs, the House Majority Leader. On October 16, 1972, Boggs boarded a twin-engine Cessna along with Congressman Nick Begich, Begich's aide Russell Brown, and pilot Don Johns. They were flying from Anchorage to Juneau, routine 550-mile journey. The weather was challenging, but not extreme. The aircraft never arrived. What followed was the largest search and rescue operation in U.S. history up to that point. For 39 days, the military deployed 40 aircraft and 89 search missions, covering 32,000 square miles. Yet not a single trace of the aircraft or its occupants was ever found. The plane and its 4 occupants had simply vanished. What makes this case particularly intriguing are the circumstances surrounding it. Boggs had been a member of the Warren Commission that investigated President Kennedy's assassination and had publicly expressed doubts about the commission's findings. He was also investigating potential corruption within J. Edgar Hoover's FBI. The aircraft was equipped with an emergency locator transmitter designed to activate upon impact. Yet no signal was ever detected. Scientists have documented unusual magnetic anomalies throughout the region, areas where compass readings become erratic and electromagnetic instruments malfunction. These anomalies are so significant that pilots are specifically warned about them in aviation charts, noting zones where magnetic north can appear to shift by up to 30 degrees. These magnetic irregularities have given rise to the vortex theory of the Alaska Triangle. According to this theory, certain locations contain powerful electromagnetic vortices that can disrupt not only navigation, equipment, but potentially human consciousness itself. Proponents point to documented cases where experienced hikers have walked in circles, despite believing they were traveling in a straight line, or where pilots reported sudden disorientation before disappearing. The human brain relies on multiple systems for orientation, explains Dr. Eleanor Sanderson, a neuroscientist. When those systems receive conflicting information, such as visual cues that don't match what your inner ear or magnetic sense is telling you, the result can be profound disorientation and potentially fatal decision-making. Long before European settlers arrived, the indigenous Tlingit and Tsimshian peoples told stories of mysterious creatures called the Kushtaka, or land otter people. According to these legends, the Kushtaka are shapeshifters who can appear as humans, otters, or anything in between. They're said to mimic human voices, often calling out the names of lost travelers to lure them deeper into the wilderness. These legends contain eerily specific details that align with modern disappearance reports. The Tlingit describe the Kushtaka as being most active in areas now encompassed by the Alaska Triangle. They warn of specific locations where people can vanish without a trace. Traditional stories tell of hunters who followed what they thought was game, only to find themselves hopelessly lost in unfamiliar territory. What's particularly intriguing is how these indigenous warnings have been independently corroborated by modern accounts. Search and rescue teams have documented cases where missing persons were last seen chasing after what they described as a person or animal, only to vanish. In one particularly chilling case from 2012, a hiker's final radio transmission described seeing someone he recognized on a ridge above him, despite being in an area where no other hikers had been reported for days. The Alaska Triangle has become a hotspot for UFO sightings. With hundreds of documented reports from credible witnesses, commercial airline pilots, military personnel, and law enforcement officers, the Federal Aviation Administration has numerous incident reports describing unidentified aerial phenomena performing maneuvers that defy no-gauge conventional aircraft capabilities. These sightings have led some researchers to propose connections between UFO activity and disappearances. They point to cases like the 1986 Japan Airlines incident, where Captain Kenju Teruyuchi and his crew observed 2 unidentified objects following their Boeing 747 as they crossed Alaska. The objects were simultaneously tracked on multiple radar systems. Captain Teruyuchi reported that the objects moved in ways that defied physics, and at one point he felt an unexplained force taking control of the aircraft. The remote, sparsely populated nature of the Alaska Triangle makes it an ideal location for potential extraterrestrial activity, according to proponents of this theory. If an advanced civilization wanted to observe or interact with humans with minimal detection, the Alaskan wilderness provides perfect cover, explains Dr. Samantha Reeves, an astronomer who has cataloged UFO reports in the region. Take the case of Richard Haskin, an experienced bush pilot with over 12,000 flight hours, who disappeared in 2017 while flying a route he had traveled hundreds of times before. Weather conditions were ideal, his plane had recently passed inspection, and Haskin had radioed his position just 10 minutes before all contact was lost. Despite a 2-week search, not a single piece of wreckage was ever found. Equally puzzling are the hiking disappearances, like the 2012 case of the Miller family. Thomas and Cynthia Miller, along with their 10-year-old son James, set out on a popular day hike near Juneau. The family was well equipped, carrying emergency supplies and a satellite phone. Searchers found their backpack containing the satellite phone abandoned on the trail. But no other trace of the family was ever discovered. Most disturbing was that tracking dogs followed their scent to a specific point on the trail, where it simply stopped as if the family had been lifted straight up into the air. In 2005, experienced hiker Marcus Teller disappeared during a solo trek near Denali. 3 weeks later, searchers found his intact campsite with food still hanging from a bear-proof container. His journal opened to an entry from the night before his disappearance, and a single line of footprints leading away from the camp footprints that stopped abruptly after about 20 yards, in an open meadow with no rocks or trees where he might have jumped. Despite thousands of disappearances over decades, there has never been a comprehensive federal investigation specifically targeting the unusual patterns in this region. The FBI maintains missing persons data, but has never publicly acknowledged the statistical anomaly that Alaska represents. When pressed on the issue, officials typically cite the harsh environment and vast wilderness as sufficient explanation. This official reticence has fueled speculation about potential government knowledge or involvement. Some point to the high concentration of military installations in Alaska, including early warning radar systems and classified research facilities. There are certain areas where civilian aircraft are warned away with little explanation, notes former FAA controller James Whitaker. The airspace restrictions change frequently, sometimes with only hours of notice. Freedom of Information Act requests regarding specific disappearances have returned, heavily redacted documents, or been denied entirely on grounds of national security. The pattern suggests there may be aspects of these disappearances that the government understands but chooses not to disclose, argues investigative journalist Catherine Mercer, who has covered the Alaska Triangle for over 15 years. The scientific community has proposed several rational explanations for the Alaska Triangle phenomenon. Meteorologists point to unique weather patterns that can create sudden, localized storms. Geologists note that the region's unstable terrain could potentially conceal evidence of accidents. One particularly compelling scientific theory involves infrasound low-frequency sound waves that can cause feelings of fear, anxiety, and disorientation. On the paranormal side, theories range from interdimensional portals to time slips phenomena, where people allegedly cross temporarily into parallel realities. Others suggest that the region's unique electromagnetic properties create conditions where reality itself becomes unstable. The electromagnetic fields in certain parts of the triangle are strong enough to affect brain activity, claims paranormal investigator Dr. Robert Schaefer. Whether you lean toward scientific or paranormal explanations, one thing remains clear. The Alaska Triangle continues to claim lives at an alarming rate, and no single theory seems to fully account for all aspects of this enduring mystery. As we've seen throughout this journey, the Alaska Triangle defies simple explanation. From magnetic anomalies to ancient legends, from harsh environmental factors to possible government cover-ups, the truth likely contains elements of multiple theories. What we know for certain is that over 16,000 people have vanished in this region, many without leaving a single trace behind. Perhaps the most important takeaway is one of respect for the power of nature, for the wisdom of indigenous warnings, and for the unknown forces that may be at work in our world. If you ever find yourself traveling in Alaska, particularly within the boundaries of the Triangle, take extra precautions. The Alaska Triangle reminds us that despite all our technological advances, there are still places on Earth where mystery prevails, where the line between the known and unknown blurs. If you found this exploration fascinating, please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next deep dive into the world's greatest unsolved mysteries. Share your theories in the comments below. Before you go, here's that bonus fact I promised. In 2012, a classified government study allegedly examined the correlation between disappearances in the Alaska Triangle and unusual seismic activity in the region. According to a former researcher who spoke anonymously, they discovered that 73% of unexplained disappearances occurred within 48 hours of ultra-low-frequency seismic events too subtle to be felt, but potentially capable of affecting brain function and perception. The study was reportedly shelved after preliminary findings, and all data was classified. Share this video with a friend who loves unsolved mysteries. They'll thank you for it.